Thank you and welcome back to Race Industry Week 2023. Our next guest is somebody special. I have personally a great admiration for Matt because he is what this industry is all about. He's a very successful CEO running Total Seal, and under his leadership has some of the greatest people in the industry working with him, with Lake and many of the guys there. And he's doing a tremendous job with Total Seal. And on top of it is a fantastic accomplished racer, and he won the Crown Jewels of NHRA this year in Pro Stock. And so this is really as part of the newer generation of industry leaders. And so we're delighted to have Matt with us. Joe, you prepare for that one?
Always. I can't get enough Hartford.
And I think Matt is going to be joining us today, and we're going to be talking drag racing. Matt, good morning.
There he is.
Morning, Frenchie. How are you?
I'm doing great. Joe Castello, you're in charge.
Thank you very much, Francis. Judy, appreciate it. Good morning, Matt Hartford. How are you?
Doing excellent, guys. It's a pleasure to be with you. It's a great thing that EPARTRADE is doing here, and Total Seal is thrilled to be a part of it.
Oh, we see the logos all over the place. Total Seal, one of the supporters, and it is a global brand. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But the whole point of this interview, and Francisque got me warmed up on it. And for those that don't know, Matt and I interact on a regular basis out there on the NHRA Drag Racing Series Tour, where I spend a lot of time working, and also, the podcasts and live streams that I do. So this is more of a broad audience interview, though, Matt. We've got people around the world who maybe aren't drag racing knowledgeable. You are coming off your best career season by far, and we're going to get into that. But first, I do want to talk about the business that makes it all possible. Total Seal, you're not just a drag racing company. Total Seal works out and throughout most motorsports. Can you give us like an overview?
Yeah, so basically, drag racing is a huge part for Total Seal as far as a ring manufacturer, but drag racing certainly isn't the only thing that we do. So if it takes a piston, whether it's in a Formula One car, or it's something that's in an industrial segment, or just maybe if it's just a non-combustible engine, just maybe an air compressor, anything that has a piston that goes up and down that needs a seal, we can manufacture a piston ring for. We're a seal company. A piston ring simply is a seal. So if if you're have an over-the-road truck, or you have something that's going to the moon, or you have something that needs to go around in circles, or you have a Pro Stock car, we simply can make a piston ring for you.
And you get those calls every day. I know there are people looking for seals from the past. Maybe they're looking to restore something, but you also mentioned, the aerospace industry, and you guys are a leader. And I would imagine that having Total Seal emblazoned all over the place, including on the side of a cutting edge Pro Stock car, is good for notoriety and getting the name out.
Yeah, it's really good being out at the NHRA races every week. We're there, 20 plus races a year plus testing. The customers who are there, some of them are racing against us. Some of them are, in Pro Stock. Some of them are in Super Gas, Top Sportsman, Stock Eliminator. Some of them are simply fans in the stands that have a bracket car that they run on their weekly circuit, whether it be at, New England Dragway, or, at Phoenix, every weekend that's coming back. So we get to see a lot of different people, and a lot of the people that actually come up and talk, they may not even have a drag race car. They may just have a street car that they're rebuilding, or they may want to talk about an engine that they have that could be an air compressor. So we get to see a lot of diverse customers when we're at the track, and it's just great being out there with everybody. And obviously you're out there every weekend. You get to see the diversity that we bring in, because what do they say? Every pass is a pit pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be talking drag racing for the next, I would call it an hour and a half or so. So get buckled in. And I would suggest to the folks that are not knowledgeable about drag racing, who just haven't been exposed to it. Stick around, meet some of these colorful characters, and you'll want to watch them race. If for nothing else, then their unique personalities, and then the speed. Just moments ago, we were speaking with Rody Basso, who is a Formula One engineer who has started an electric boat series, and he says that the way that motorsports needs to go is to acceleration and efficiency. And those are two things that are absolutely vital in the success in current drag racing. We think about massive power, but it's all about acceleration and efficiency if you're going to win races.
Yeah, we preach that every day is efficiency, because when you look at what are we trying to accomplish better in an engine, it's efficiency. Now that may mean horsepower, that may mean fuel economy. So there's, may mean oil consumption. We have to look at everything of what the customer is trying to achieve. Prior to getting on this, I was just answering an email to an industrial customer. It's an alternative fuel in Europe that they're looking for. They're not concerned with how much power the engine makes. It makes plenty of power, plenty of torque. They need to make sure that it consumes essentially zero oil and gets the highest fuel efficiency it can get with the least amount of emissions. Horsepower and torque, not even a concern. So, we see it every day. And in drag racing and pro stock, we're looking how much power can we make? Well, you make power through efficiency. So the higher the volumetric efficiency is of the engine or the pump, the better performance you'll have, regardless if it's, like I said, power or fuel economy.
Excellent. And as far as technology goes, ring seal technology in the last, you tell me, it feels like 10 to 15 years, but it has advanced light years from what was happening to what is currently happening.
Yeah, I started here almost 26 years ago. So that's a long time ago. Half my life I've been at Total Seal. And when I started here, you look at what we thought was a pretty high-tech ring, and then you look at that ring today and we're like, wow, we're light years ahead. But I would say even as much as since 2013, we have seen major advancements. And then really in the last 4 to 5 years, coating technology has really taken off. So it's been an advancement that I didn't think that you could see as much gains as rapidly as we have. But obviously, we work with a lot of smart people around the world. They bring a lot of ideas to us. They ask a lot of questions. We take those questions. We sit down in our meetings. We talk about how can we build this better mousetrap that they're asking for. And our answer is always yes. We'll figure it out. We're not a no company. We're a yes. We will build it for you. Yes, we'll figure out what you need, and yes, we'll make something better that's good for everybody.
Very exciting. I want to start the conversation about your season in the National Hot Rod Association, but I do want to remind anybody that if you are interested in ring seal, the technology, and hearing a little bit more about what goes on and how it gets put to use, they at Total Seal have a podcast called Hidden Horsepower, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcast, Amazon. And, we call them celebrity engine builders, industry leaders who choose Total Seal, explain why, and tell some fun and unique stories along the way. So it is entertainment based as well. So for the podcast listeners out there, you might want to hit that. So Matt, why Pro Stock? We've got people on here who are fans of Formula One, sports cars, rally cars, winged sprints. We just talked about it. NHRA Pro Stock, the pinnacle of naturally aspirated racing. Why is that for you?
3 horsepower per cubic inch, normally aspirated. Where else in the world? Nowhere. That's it. Pro Stock, Comp Eliminator, that's the place that you're going to see these type of engines. We are horsepower limited, meaning we need to utilize as much power as we humanly have underneath the hood to make our car as quick as possible down the quarter mile. Obviously, the more power you have, the quicker your car can go. But all of the teams out there have we've got this mold of almost 20 cars now that run within thousandths of a second. So who can take the power that you have, the rule package of a 3-disc clutch, 5-speed transmission, 2,350 pounds, 10.5 rev limiter? who can spec tire, who can take that and outrun their competition. And to me, it's the hardest class to race in drag racing, because if you make any mistake on any level, starting from strapping in the car, doing the burnout, staging, your left foot coming off the pedal, getting the car a little out of the groove, any little thing costs you, thousandths of a second. And my car has a number 3 on it now instead of a number 2, because I lost by 2 thou in the finals in Pomona, and it eats me alive because there's 20 things that we could have done different on that run that I think we win the race and put a number 2 on our car. So it's we had a great season, but it's the hardest class out there. It keeps you up all night long wondering what can you do better to outperform your competition.
So heading into the 2023 season, you had strung together, I believe it was 6 straight years of winning at least one race in the National Hot Rod Association, the Camping World Series, soon to be the Mission Foods Drag Racing Series, as the series has a new title sponsor, which is demonstrating a lot of promise for their marketing ability and prowess out there in the grocery stores of America. That's a good thing to win one race a year for 6 years. The way I count the metric of success in any motorsport is if you can win a race a year, you're relevant. You're good, and then it gets better from there. If you don't win a race in a season, and this is the same for NASCAR, Xfinity, Cup, or otherwise, if you don't win a race, that's a problem. If you get a win, you're relevant, you've won a race, you're on the board, if you will. So that was the situation. In 2023, you shattered that with 3 wins, 5 final rounds, and you got your first ever number 1 qualifying positions. So take us back to the start of 2023. What was the indication? And was there any indication that this would be a breakout year?
Well, if you start in 2023, we did absolutely 0 testing in the off season. The way our car went in the trailer at the end of 22, we unloaded it. We basically cleaned it up and unloaded it in Gainesville on Thursday. Gainesville's for anybody that doesn't follow NHRA, Gainesville's the first race of the season in March. And we unloaded our car and we leased from KB Titan Engines, which, Greg has provided us great power for many, many years. They had worked all winter long on developing what they considered more power, and they thought that they had a better engine than what we had in 2022. They had tested all winter long. So we felt confident that going into Gainesville, we were going to have a really good package. Well, we unload our car, and Thursday we get our awning set up, and we roll the car over and get the engine, put it on the hoist, set it in the car, get everything bolted in. And I said, boy, we ought to try to put the front end on the car, because this has definitely got a different induction system on the top. The manifold looks different. So we go to put the front end on the car, and there is absolutely no way the front end is going to fit on the car with this engine in there. We have a 2016 Camaro. Most of the class has 22 and 23 Camaros, which have a taller hood. So we're thinking, okay, it's 5 o'clock Thursday night. We run tomorrow at 1 in the afternoon, and we have an engine that won't fit in our car. What are we going to do? So I walk over to Greg, and they're getting ready to go to dinner. And I said, hey, we got a problem. And he said, what's that? And I said, the manifold won't fit under my hood. He goes, well, you need a different car. I said, well, I don't have a different car. He goes, well, I have a manifold we haven't ran. It's not what we've tested. I don't have any baseline for it, but it's shorter. It'll fit in your car. I said, okay, well, let's put it in. So we do. And now we're fairly nervous, because we basically got a new engine combination for 23 that no one's ran. So if anybody that was there knows that, most of the field go up there Q1, they go out there and, I don't know, 650s, something, mid 650s. We go 676. We're qualified like 19th. After Q3, we'd gotten better each run, trying to get a tune-up in the car. And at this point, I'm pretty nervous, because after Q3, we're not qualified. It's the first race of the season. We're not in the show. Q4, the worst track conditions that we had seen, hot, greasy track. We're first or second car out in the bad lane. The lane that had been greasier than the other one. And I told Eddie, I said, man, Eddie's my crew chief. I told Eddie, I said, I'm really concerned. He goes, you're concerned. And I think rolling up into that, I don't think either one of us were convinced we were qualifying. And we got in and qualified in the bottom half of the field. And by this point, we had 4 runs on this engine platform, and the tune-up was starting to get closer. And I said to him, I said, look, I think we can make some really big swings here. I think we can really pick up for round 1. And lo and behold, we went up there. We won the first round and picked up. In second round, we lost. I don't remember. I don't know if it was a hole shot or we got outran. I don't remember what happened, but we were definitely fast. And so we came out of Gainesville. We went to, there's a little pizza joint in Gainesville we always go to after the race. We went and we're sitting there having pizza and we're talking about it. And I said, you know, we're going to be fast. We have a car that's capable of winning anywhere we go. In 5 runs or 6 runs, we just proved we could take a different combination and get it competitive. And so you ask, you know, what was our opinion at the start of the season? We thought we were good, then we were freaked out, and then by the end of Gainesville, I thought we were good again.
Amazing. Well, the confidence. You proved to yourself that you could overcome an obstacle like that, and you did, and the rest is history. So walk us through the season up to the U.S. Nationals. Francis called it the crown jewel. It absolutely is. It's the Indy 500. It's the Daytona 500. It's the Grand Prix of Monaco. It's 24 Hour of Le Mans for drag racing, 900 plus competitors there. And if there is a better part, a better engine, it's going to be used at that race. You guys were able to score your, single biggest victory of your career at that time and put your name into drag racing history forever. Walk us through that event. Of course, you had some successes leading up to that, but we've got a limited amount of time, and I want to talk about your fire in Reading. So U.S. Nationals, go.
So Indy, obviously, we left Brainerd, and we were disappointed in what happened at Brainerd. We thought we could have ran. We thought we could have definitely went farther into the rounds in Brainerd. There was some issues, some drivers and staging and everything else that kind of got in my head. So we said, forget about Brainerd. Let's go to Indy. And we had sent our engine back. So we had a fresh engine from KV. We knew we had a fast car. We knew we just had to get out of our own head and go up there. And Friday night was going to be the best session. If you could go to the pole on Friday night, we thought you could stay on the pole. So we put in everything that we thought was the best in the car for Friday night, and we were able to take the pole on Friday night. And everybody said, "Will it hold? Will it hold? Will it hold?" And we thought it would, but of course, we were skeptical. But throughout Indy, which is 9 runs, 5 qualifying sessions, 4 elimination rounds, we were low for the round, either 6 or 7 of the runs, and qualified number 1, low for the round, call it 6 runs. And the other, I think it was 7, the other 2 runs, we actually were just scuffing in some tires. So we actually fell back a little bit just because we were trying to get ready for the countdown. But we had the best car on the grounds. I had the most confidence that I had ever had. We had been to the finals in Indy before and lost. There was a lot on the line to go up there and prove that, hey, we can win Indy. So qualified number 1, low for basically all the rounds, and win Indy. Other than a championship, I don't think there's anything better.
At the start of every season or at the conclusion of every season, there's a question that goes around, who won the championship and who won Indy? The 2 things that ultimately will be remembered over the course of a season. And you guys won Indy. You finished 3rd in the championship, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But just an interesting momentum. You gained a lot of attention through this season as well. Typically, you've been self-funded, Total Seal funded, and you've got a group of supporters. Tony Stewart's going to be coming up a little bit later on. I'm going to ask him this question because he has told me in the past that he really believes that drag racing is perfectly positioned between the grassroots nature of the sport of the racing that happens around America on every given weekend, and where, say, the NASCAR Cup Series is, where it is a wholly corporate entity, right? Where it's Major League Sports. you're a perfect example of that. You guys work during the week. You've got volunteer crew that wants to be there, that are doing this for the personal competitive drive of it. And many of your sponsors are exactly that as well. People that support you financially so that Matt Hartford can go race. But that changed a little bit this year, and you were able to bring on some support financially that kind of helped you at some key moments.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I go back to the pizza parlor I was talking about in Gainesville. We were sitting there, and Jason Galvin, one of the announcers, happened to be there. Obviously, you work with Jason. And I said, "Hey, how's your uncle doing?" Which is Pat Galvin, who has a huge history in drag racing, and he also is one of the leading guys. Along with he works for Steve and Scott Bryson at Global Electronics, Getrix, the credit card processing. The fastest name in credit card processing. And he said, "Oh, he's good." And so he's right over here. So Pat came over to the table and we started talking. And we'd known each other for a while, and he said, "Hey, why don't we do something for Pomona? We're gonna have all the global electronics people out there. Why don't we do something on your car for Pomona?" And I was like, "Man, that would be great if we could do something." And lo and behold, by the time we got to Pomona, we had Getrix on the side of the car. And throughout the year, so a 9/16 wrench is a tool, a screwdriver is a tool, money is a tool. They were able to come on board and help us financially in some certain ways that we hadn't had in the past, which allowed us to maybe get some better equipment in different places, have some different resources that we hadn't had in the past. And it really, and I've said it to everybody that will listen, having them come on board was instrumental into winning the 3 races. We went to 5, actually 6 finals if you consider the 4 wide, and 4 number 1 qualifiers. Could have won the championship had we not made a couple mistakes driving. We didn't. Could have finished second. We didn't, but we finished third, which is pretty good as far as when you look at how competitive and what the budget is against the cars that we're racing against. Even though we've had a lot more support this year, we still don't have the budgets that these other teams have. But they came on board, and obviously Rottler stepped up again with us this year, and the Hose Connection and Jason Curry. CIP1 was on board this year. These people that help us all believe in what we do. And for anybody that says, how do you get a sponsor? How do you get involved in racing? Something, just be yourself, be honest, be true. Don't oversell what you can do. And you get a lot of people around you that just want to help. And that's where we're at.
Well, and I think that's a great lesson to so many out there, both, we would say above and below where NHRA exists in the hierarchy of motorsports worldwide. Like, it is ultimately, the power of people that make things happen one way or another. All right, run a little limited on time. I want to get to the Redding story, because this is one that everybody dreams of this story, like something's wrong with the car and we've got to fix it. And they, and you guys had to go off site. You loaded your race car onto a flatbed truck. You took it to a secret location. It caught fire. You returned back to the track. Everyone was wondering where you were, what you did. Was the problem fixed? You didn't even know, maybe. And then you were able to go out and win the event. Your 3rd event of the year, the first in the NHRA playoff system, known as the Countdown. And you say that eclipsed the U.S. Nationals as your biggest personal win.
Yeah, it's less than a week prior to that, in between Indy and Redding, I started feeling pretty bad. So I went to the emergency room and had my appendix taken out. And the doctors were telling me that I wasn't getting in a race car. I was telling them, make sure that I have anything that I need so that I can be comfortable in a race car, but I can't take any medicine, nor am I going to take any medicine. So whatever we need to do, tell me. And they said, rest. So I was told I could go to the racetrack, but I couldn't work on anything for Redding. Well, that changed when our car decided for 3 out of the 4 runs to not run. We'd go up, it would run in the pits, it would run, starting it up, you pull into the water box, the car would just quit. So luckily we were qualified after Q1, so we stayed qualified. But on Saturday night, we had a car that literally could not do a burnout. I wasn't supposed to be working on cars, which I was now is involved as anybody working on the car. And I said to Rob at Rob's Towing, I said, hey, do you have who's been a sponsor of ours forever? He's on the hood of my car, and they're from Pennsylvania. You have a flatbed here? He goes, yeah, we're the tow company for Maple Grove. I said, do you have a place that we can go work on our car, potentially do some burnouts? He goes, absolutely. So we tried to sneak out of the track. We rolled down to the scales and put our car on a flatbed, which of course everybody's seen. You can't get out of a racetrack secretly. And we went for a few hours and worked on the car and stripped a whole bunch of wiring out of the car and rewired a lot of stuff and figured out, we thought we had the problem solved, but after about 12 attempts doing burnouts in a parking lot, or however many it was, we put it back on the flatbed, brought it back to the track and said, well, we hope it's fixed for round one. We got to run Greg Anderson, who is pretty bad to the bone. And, you know, if we can get through first round, we're lucky, but let's just hope that the car starts and runs. Lo and behold, we beat Greg first round, won second round. Race got postponed onto Monday due to rain. And, you know, had to run the one elite car in round 3 and Kyle, the track owner, in round 4. And we came out of there with a Wally. That was, you know, 8 straight rounds of winning, you know, 4 out of Indy and 4 out of Reading. And we were definitely on a pretty good high right there. It was something that you look back upon and say, whatever it took, we were willing to do.
And I see Judy and Francisque have joined us once again, just days after having your appendix removed. Just an amazing story. Quick 30-second answer about 2024. Mission Foods coming on with NHRA drag racing. And now you've got a very strong season to build upon. They say you got to lose one by a little before you can win one.
Yeah, let's just say motivated is probably not the right word. There's words I would use that I won't use on screen here. We are coming out with a vengeance. We're coming to win the championship. Our team is ready to go. We wish that you could actually. We wish that qualifying was tomorrow. Let's go. We're ready to get back after it. And now we don't know where the cards are going to fall, but we're confident going into the season that we're a team that people should not take lightly.
Well, excellent. And they don't. And of course, Total Seal, a worldwide brand, regardless of motorsport or even beyond, making power for race vehicles. And so I encourage everyone to check out TotalSeal.com. Matt, thank you very much. And thank you for spending time with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Registering on EPARTRADE is easy. To start, click on the Join for Free button on the homepage. First, search your company to see if it's already in our database. If you see your company on the list, click on it to select it. Then, choose Claim Company if you are one of the decision makers, an owner, marketing person, or main company contact. Or choose Join Company if you are an employee, and press Continue. If you couldn't find your company in our database, select Register a New Company. On the following page, fill out your name, email, phone number, job title, and choose a secure password. If you chose Register a New Company, you'll need to choose your business type. Select Supplier if you're looking to display products or services and connect with buyers. Choose Racing Business if you're looking to source new parts and connect with suppliers. Choose Race Team if you own or are a member of a professional race team. Then, enter your company name. Please provide a website, Facebook page, or LinkedIn if you have one, and choose to either claim or join the company. You can view and agree to our terms of use here. If you'd like to receive our weekly newsletter, choose Accept. Finally, click Register Now and your registration will be submitted for approval. An email will be sent to your inbox. Please confirm your email address and you will be approved shortly. Welcome to EPARTRADE.